Recently, we spent some time with Mazda's brand new MX-5, and spoiler alert, we liked it a lot. Now it's time to see how its competition is doing. This is the 2015 Subaru BRZ. More specifically, this is the Series.Blue. Yes, I know there's a Series Hyper-Blue already out, but this is the one we're testing this week, so shut up and deal with it. Because it's fun and you should enjoy it. This car has the formula that we've come to know and love. It's small, it's lightweight, it's got two doors. This one has a manual gearbox, it has an engine in the front. The driven wheels are out back. There's not a ton of power, but there's enough power to have fun. How much fun? Let's dive in and see. Pretty easy to see that we're dealing with a winning formula. Boxer motor up front making 200 horsepower, around 150 plus pound-feet of torque, connected to this pretty nice 6-speed manual gearbox. You can get it with an automatic, with flappy paddles, but you don't want it. It's not terrible, actually. It's not that bad, but the manual is so much better. And to really extract all the joy from a car like this, you should be driving the one with the manual gearbox. Subaru lets you mess around with the traction control. You can put it in VSC Sport mode or you can turn it all the way off. In VSC Sport, you will get some slip. If you get too much, it'll cut in and save your ass. But the car is so light and not that powerful that you really can't get into that much trouble. So if you do go all the way off with traction control, not off the road, you're gonna have a damn good time. Now, this is the Series.Blue, which means it's a special edition for 2015. They're only making 1,000 of them. They're making 500 in World Rally Blue Pearl and 500 in Crystal White. I don't understand why you would make a white version of the car when it's called the Series.Blue, but I'm not in product planning. I like the blue one though. Looks good with the black wheels. Gold wheels always look kick-ass on a blue Subaru, but the blacks look pretty good here. The steering in this car is just fantastic. The thing barely weighs over 2,700 pounds, so you know it's going to be a bit of a delight, but they really didn't mess up the steering, and that's a great thing. Even on center, it's got the appropriate amount of weight. It's got good heft when you dial in some angle into the corners. It's quick, responsive. It's just a joy on a canyon road. The throttle's just as responsive too, so you pop it down into gear, stay into the power range, up into the higher revs, because this thing does rev to 7,500, 8,000 where the RPM is. Yeah, 7,500, just had to double check. You get good noise. They're inducting a little bit of the noise into the cabin in that, hey, look at all this engine noise. Oh yeah, some of it's not real. But I don't think this one's electronic. I think this is just ducted, which I'll take that. I could be, if I'm wrong, well, just flame away in the comments. One of the areas I am sort of let down by, the brakes. I feel like a light car should stop well, and it stops all right. It just is nowhere near as good as the Brembos on that Club Sport Miata. Those brakes are effing excellent. Here, I don't know, I'm sure with just a mild pad upgrade, it'd be gripping more aggressively, which is what you want when you're ripping canyon roads. The Subaru BRZ is a car that definitely likes to be driven hard, and we love cars like that. Some people will say, it needs more power, and sure, more power is pretty much always great. At 200 horsepower, you could push this a lot farther. The chassis can handle it. As it sits right out of the box, it really is an enjoyable driver's car though. The cockpit is wonderfully driver focused for the most part. There are a few tiny bits that we change. Most notably, and this is kind of an odd one, but it would make sense if you were here, this radio. It's one of the better ones that Subaru's offered over the years. However, there's one problem. To change the tracks on your iPod, you have to touch the screen. There's no hard button to change it. There are no buttons on the steering wheel. So you cannot feel without looking where your hand's going to change the track. So you have to look down, make sure you hit it, make sure it's registered your touch, and it does register your touch fine. It's just the looking down and finding the button part, which I don't like. We really need buttons for volume and track control on the steering wheel. because I don't know about you, but I like listening to music when I'm hitting back roads. Obviously, I can't right now because we wouldn't be able to pay for the license. It's funny, this is one of those cars that you think you're driving it hard and then you push it a little bit harder and you realize, yeah, it can keep going. One of the few areas where it's held back are its tires. It has the Michelin primacies on it. Now, you'll read reviews, you'll see videos where people will say, oh man, this thing just wants to drift every turn. And it can, but it has way more grip than everybody's telling you. You can just chuck it in, and it pulls right through. So there's definitely grip to be had. There's definitely drifts to be had if you want them, but it's not just pure oversteer all the time. So you can be a hooligan, or you can be Ayrton Senna. It's fun holding the gears all the way up to the red line. The engine responds perfectly. This thing's a blast. It doesn't feel quite as refined as the Miata, and you're paying a little bit more for the Mazda. The Club Sport I drove was $33,000. This car is about $29,000. Both are fantastic deals in my book. The styling here is a little bit more leaning towards boy racer, whereas the styling of the Miata has come a long way. That car is friggin' gorgeous. It looks like it was styled in Italy. It's got all the right lines. This car is more street tuner, having a blast. It looks great, but it looks like it's for a younger crowd, whereas the MX-5 looks like it's for an older crowd. The seats are good. You have a lot going on to like, so you can't go wrong with either choice. Do you want open air motoring with almost Italian looking styling? Get the Miata. Do you want a slightly more focused, in my opinion, machine to beat on canyon roads? It's the BRZ. One of my biggest issues with the Miata was the body roll. If you go from a quick left to a right, that car has to take a moment to set up and you really feel the body roll. If you know it's coming, you can drive through it, but it's a bit unsettling. This car doesn't roll like that. This car stays flat, and I've read reviews where people are like, oh, I prefer the MX-5 for the body roll because I know what the car's doing. I know what this car's doing too. It just doesn't need to lean over on its side to do it. So, were it my money, I'd probably get the BRZ. Sorry, Mazda. It's hard not to smile when you're driving a car like this. If you can drive this and not smile, there's something wrong with you. You're a mental person. You're one of the mentalists. One thing that's kind of cool about the BRZ is just how far you can open up the hood. Jason, say hi to the camera. See? Hood's pretty much vertical. Very cool.